So quadrupedal movement can be found anywhere. It can be found when you're trying to do a vault. It can be found when you are trying to climb somewhere and you want to not fall off the wall. Another place it can be found is when you're already up high and you're trying to create stability so you don't fall. Another way it's going to be found is when you're trying to pass under something. So parkour uses quadrupedal movement in a lot of different ways. As a parkour coach, teach quadrupedal movement first to keep your students safe, teaching them from the ground up. We teach the front crawl first because the concept of balancing the center of gravity over opposite limbs is used in many other parkour movements. To teach the front crawl, we start by having someone walk around. We get them to relax and after a few moments ask them to, without changing their movement, draw attention to their arm and legs motion of opposition. We continue that pattern, have someone begin to devolve or bending over to the ground. Still arm swinging, bit by bit till their arms are low enough for their hands to reach the ground. As a teacher, you're likely to find some of the few following mistakes. One is the students just don't understand, and they need to slow down their QM, or they need to just stay in place and just try and lift the opposite sides. Another thing you might notice is they're moving the same side, the same leg and the same arm, and that's going to make their hips go way to one side and way to the other side. They're not going to be controlled in this position. They're going to try to use momentum to help them get there. So have them try to stop, try to lift both sides at the same time and see how long they can hold it. And this is going to cue them to use opposite sides. You will notice that some of your students' hips will be higher, or they might be moving from side to side. This is indicative of poor stability. If you find that someone cannot control this motion at a slow speed, it is recommended that you only attempt lifting the opposite sides while staying in place. A fun game for QM strength and conditioning is to place an object on the back of a person and have them march across a field. If they drop it, they have to do a penalty exercise. Another game is to put a band around the hips and hold the person back while they're trying to QM across a field.
So if your students are in QM for a long time, it's going to tighten up this quadricep a lot. So what you can do is you can go up into a lunge, which is similar to a QM, but now we've stretched out this hip in a bigger angle, so you're getting a big quadricep stretch.
Another stretch that you're going to want your students to do is going to be the downward dog. In order to do a good downward dog, you're going to have your student go into a push-up position, and in this push-up position, you're going to have them keep their hips up, but dip their back down towards the ground, or their belly button towards the ground, so you get this nice bowl right here. Now, keeping this nice bowl, you're going to have them sit their hips up and back towards their heels until this back goes straight. It's okay if the heels don't touch the ground. You're just looking for a big stretch in the hamstrings and the calves and a neutral spinal position here. Now QM is going to be really intensive on the wrists, and after a long time they're going to get sore. So you're going to have your students put their hands to the ground and shift their weight over, giving them nice wrist stretches. Don't have them hold any one position too long, just a nice rock forward and backwards. You can also have them bring their fingers towards them and have them sit back. In both of these stretches, you don't want their palms to come off of the ground. They need to stay on the ground with their shoulders back to make sure that they get their wrist the biggest stretch possible. Now that you've been instructed on how to teach QM, put it in your classes. It doesn't matter if it's a first-timer class or a more experienced class, their strength goes up, their mobility goes up, their coordination goes up. So you're going to find that all across the board, QM is going to help your students achieve their goals. I'm Kurt Jordan at Parkour Visions. Have fun, train safe.